I was only about 15 years old when I first saw Godzilla 1985. Now, since then, I only knew of Godzilla 1985 as being the version that I saw in the theaters that featured Raymond Burr returning to the role of Stephen Martin, the role that he played in the original Godzilla from 1954. So, my memories of Godzilla 85 were kind of ambivalent, I believe. I kind of like Godzilla 85, but I do remember feeling that a lot of the sequences involved in the U.S. were kind of intrusive and kind of pointless. And of course, the dubbing kind of didn't help the film either. And the excessive cheesiness of the finale, where sorry, spoilers, where Godzilla momentarily buys it, and Stephen Martin, Raymond Burr, is narrating and pontificating about something, and yeah, in the end, it just seemed kind of hokey and dumb. So for 30 plus years, I've known that there was another version of Godzilla 1985, and I basically just dismissed it as being, yeah, it's just the Japanese dub version, probably with the U.S. English scenes cut out. But little did I know that the version that was released on Blu-ray recently, Godzilla 1984, The Return of Godzilla, was about 20 some odd minutes longer than Godzilla in 1985. Not only did it remove all of the American scenes involving Raymond Burr and all that unnecessary intrusiveness, but it actually developed a lot of the story and made this Godzilla kind of serious. I remember back when I was a kid, I obviously grew kind of bored with all this dialogue. I just want to get to the monsters, show me the monsters. It's like I guess I'm on that at the time I was on that Ultraman fix with a half-hour episode. It's like cut with the talk and let's get right to the monster fights. So I think one of the reasons I wasn't big on 85 was it took about half an hour before we finally saw the big guy. But obviously getting older and my love of film developed, that I basically became much more patient in regards to plot development and what I thought as a kid was needless talk was necessary towards plot development. And Godzilla 84, the original Japanese version, turned out to be quite a different experience. After watching 84, I decided to go back and watch 85 for the first time in decades. And I would have to say, sure, the 85 version feels like a streamlined version of 84, but it lacks the impact that 84 has. I mean, this review is about Godzilla 1984, not 1985, but I will be referencing 85 here and there. But structurally and story-wise, they're relatively the same. It's almost like Godzilla 85 is like an alternate. Like if they just left the version as is and just inserted these scenes as additional scenes involving America so that we know what the U.S. is doing. So it would almost be like, well, meanwhile, what's going on here, this is what's going over in the U.S. But in the end, the U.S. scenes really aren't necessary. Basically, in this one, this is the first film in decades where Godzilla actually comes back as the villain. After Godzilla 54, he returns, but basically this is where the campy Godzilla team-ups and monster fights happen. And then Toho retired him and then brought him back in Godzilla 84, where once again he was the villain. And then once again he was retired, and then he came back and they started more of the monster fights and team-ups. And then he was retired again, and then came back and then retired. And now here we are, just weeks away from Shin Godzilla, which I cannot wait to see. So Godzilla 84, basically Godzilla reemerges, and it's been 30 years, and the Prime Minister is left with the dilemma of trying to figure out what to do with this dilemma that is making its way to Tokyo. And there you really get a sense, a solid sense of what the political aspect of it is, about what to do for the general public, and dealing with foreign powers and all their gung-ho attitude towards like taking this thing out with nuclear weapons, and how Japan was so reluctant to do so, even though they know that probably is the best way to go, but they don't want to go that route. And you can see the dilemma that the Prime Minister faces. And there's a lot of things that's like where in 85 it seemed kind of, in retrospective, it was definitely of the times where the Russians were made up to be villains. But here they are basically just like the Americans, and they basically they're on the same side. And once Japan renders their decision, they both step aside because that they understand. And in the film, a incident happens where a Russian missile was accidentally launched. But in the 85 version, the Russians did it intentionally, but in the 84 version, the Russians are actually doing all they can to stop it before something unfortunate happens to the missile command operator. And the missile ends up launching. So, yeah, so there's like all kinds of events, character development. There's no Stephen Martin or Raymond Burr. And Godzilla 1984 turns out to be a much better experience. Like I said, this is the first time I saw 84, so for all intents and purposes, I'm seeing Godzilla 84 for the first time. Godzilla 1985, I would give a 3 out of 5, 3 stars out of 5 for Godzilla 85. I think that's probably what I gave it back then. But Godzilla 1984, the original Japanese version, I'd give 3.5 stars out of 5. It's a little certainly better than 85 and much more enjoyable, but it doesn't like reach the level of the original, and certainly is not campy or anything like that. So I would give Godzilla 1984, The Return of Godzilla, 3.5 stars out of 5. Available now on Blu-ray and DVD. I highly recommend seeking it out if you've never seen it. So if you like this review, please hit that like button below. Have you heard about Godzilla 1984? Which version have you seen, 84 or 85? Please comment below and let me know. And also, are you looking forward to Shin Godzilla? And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do, so you can stay on top of my reviews, retro reviews, trailer reactions, and new reviews as I put them up on my channel. So until next time, my friends, see you